Hare Krishna, my friends. Hari, Hari, Haribo. Welcome, everyone. Kandita is here. Bhakti Mimulus, our tech expert, is here. Greece is here, and you are here. Welcome to you all. I hope you all are well and that you are doing well in your sadhana, considering all of the things we're reading in this Nectar of Devotion. This is our handbook of how to do it. So I hope that you're enjoying it and it's helping you in some way or another. Tonight we are reading Chapter 9, Further Consideration of Devotional Principles. That's on page 73 of the book or page 109 of the PDF. But before I begin, please let me offer my obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who was very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Our respectful obeisances are unto you, O spiritual master, servant of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami. You are kindly preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya Dev and delivering the Western countries which are filled with impersonalism and voidism. I also offer my respectful obeisances unto the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord around the world and here with us. They are just like desire trees and can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Jai. All right. Page 73 of the book or page 109 of the PDF. That's where we are. Chapter 9, Further Considerations of Devotional Principles. So they're just illuminating or elucidating on the points previously. So we've heard these things, but this is even more information. Blasphemy. One should not tolerate the blaspheming of the Lord or his devotee. In this connection, in the 10th canto, 70th chapter, 25th verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadeva Goswami tells Parikshit Maharaj, quote, "My dear king, if a person, after hearing blasphemous propaganda against the Lord and his devotees, does not go away from that place, he becomes bereft of the effect of all pious activities." End quote. Thank you, Kandita, for offering to move the slides. We don't need to. I don't have any slides for today, but thank you. In one of Lord Chaitanya's Shikshastika verses, it is stated, quote, "The devotee should be more tolerant than the tree and more submissive than the grass. He should offer all honor to others, but may not accept any honor for himself." End quote. In spite of Lord Chaitanya's being so humble and meek as a devotee, when he was informed about injuries inflicted on the body of Sri Nityananda, he immediately ran to the spot and wanted to kill the offenders, Jagai and Madai. This behavior of Lord Chaitanya is very significant. It shows that a Vaishnava may be very tolerant and meek, foregoing everything for his personal honor. But when it is a question of the honor of Krishna or his devotees, he will not tolerate any insult. There are 3 ways of dealing with such insults. If someone is heard blaspheming by words, one should be so expert that he can defeat the opposing party by argument. If he is unable to defeat the opposing party, then the next step is that he should just stand there meekly. He should not just stand there meekly, but should give up his own life. The third process is followed if he is unable to execute the above-mentioned 2 processes, and that is that one must leave the place and go away. If a devotee does not do any of the above-mentioned 3 processes, he falls down from his position of devotion. Yeah, Bhakti says he would leave. Leaving is a good one. Next section, tilak, tulsi beads, and flower garlands. In the Padma Purana, there is a statement describing how a Vaishnava should decorate his body with tilak and beads. Quote, persons who put tulsi beads on the neck, who mark 12 places of their body as Vishnu temples with Vishnu's symbolic representations, 4 items held in the 4 hands of Vishnu, the conch, mace, disc, and lotus, and who have Vishnu tilak on their forehead, are to be understood as the devotees of Lord Vishnu in this world. Their presence makes the world purified, and anywhere they remain, they make that place as good as Vaikuntha. A similar statement is in the Skanda Purana, which says, quote, persons who are decorated with tilak are gopi chandana, kind of clay resembling fuller's earth, which is produced in certain quarters of Vrindavan, and who mark their bodies all over with the holy names of the Lord, and on whose neck and breast there are tulsi beads, are never approached by the Yamadutas. End quote. The Yamadutas are the constables of King Yama, the Lord of Death, punishes all sinful men. Vaishnavas are never called for by such constables of Yamaraj. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the narration of Ajamila's deliverance, it is said that Yamaraj gave clear instructions to his assistants not to approach the Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas are beyond the jurisdiction of Yamaraj's activities. Bhakti also says, argue or leave. Oh, so he would argue or leave. You wouldn't just die on the spot, right? Arguing is a good one. All right, back to the book. So, Tulsi beads. In the Padma Purana, it is also mentioned, quote, a person whose body is decorated with the pulp of sandalwood, with paintings of the holy name of the Lord, is delivered from all sinful reactions, and after his death he goes directly to Krishna Loka to live in association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, end quote. So I recently had surgery, and I was always, you're always concerned about whether you're going to die or not in the middle of surgery. And tilak didn't seem like a possibility. So I did use watered down tilak, but I also wrote Krishna's name in magic marker on my chest. So it doesn't have magic marker in here, but worked. I'm here. Anyway, the next instruction is that one should put on flower garlands, which are offered to the deity. In this connection, in the 11th canto, 6th chapter, 31st verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Uddhava says to Krishna, quote, my dear Krishna, I have taken things which you have used and enjoyed, such as garlands of flowers, saintly articles, garments and ornaments, and I eat only the remnants of your foodstuff, because I am your menial servant. So therefore, I am sure that I shall not be attacked by the spell of material energy. End quote. The purport of this verse is that for any person who simply follows these rules and regulations of decorating the body with the marks of tilak, of gopi chandana, or sandalwood pulp, and who puts on the garlands which were offered to Krishna, there is no question of being conquered by the spell of material energy. At the time of death, there is no question of such a person being called by the constables of Yamaraj. Even if one does not accept all the Vaishnava principles, but still takes the remnants of foodstuff offered to Krishna or Krishna Prasadam, he will gradually become qualified to rise to the platform of a Vaishnava. Similarly, in the Skanda Purana, Lord Brahma tells Narada, quote, my dear Narada, anyone who puts on his neck the flower garland which was formerly used by Krishna becomes relieved from all disease and reactions to sinful activities, and gradually he gets liberated from the contamination of matter. End quote. Bhakti says, oh good, he has a tattoo also that says Hare Krishna. Yay. Dancing before the deity. In the Dwarka Mahatmya, the importance of dancing before the deity is stated by Lord Krishna as follows, quote, a person who is in a jubilant spirit, who feels profound devotional ecstasy while dancing before me, and who manifests different features of bodily expression, can burn away all the accumulated sinful reactions he has stocked up for many, many thousands of years. End quote. In the same book, there is a statement by Narada wherein he asserts, quote, from the body of any person who claps and dances before the deities, showing manifestations of ecstasy, all the birds of sinful activities fly away upwards, end quote. Just as by clapping the hands, one can cause many birds to fly away, similarly, the birds of all sinful activities which are sitting on the body can be made to fly away simply by dancing and clapping before the deity of Krishna. In that list that we had about the things, the angas of devotional service, one of them was dancing with abandon. So that's this one, dancing with abandon. Bowing down and standing up in honor of the deity. In the Naradiya Purana, there is a statement about bowing down and offering respect to the deity. It is said there, quote, a person who has performed a great ritualistic sacrifice and a person who has simply offered his respectful obeisances by bowing down before the Lord cannot be held as equals, end quote. The person who has executed many great sacrifices will attain the result of his pious activities. But when such results are finished, he has to take birth again on the earthly planet, whereas the person who has once offered respects, bowing down before the deity, he will not again come back to the world, because he will go directly to the abode of Krishna. In the Brahmanda Purana, it is said, quote, a person who sees the Lord's Rath Yatra car festival and then stands up to receive the Lord can purge all kinds of sinful results from his body, end quote. A similar statement is there in the Vaivishya Purana, in which it says, quote, a person who follows the Rath Yatra car when the Rathas, the deities, pass in front or from behind, even if born of a lowly family, will surely be elevated to the position of achieving equal opulence with Vishnu. End quote. There's some comments here in chat. Let me look at them. Sorry. Candida says, Jai. Dancing and chanting in ecstasy can release one from all sinful reactions. Wow, wonderful. I agree. Bhakti says, but I was told you should not dance that way. You have to dance this way, the Prabhupada way. Something like that. I don't remember the exact words. So yeah, there's the Swami step that we learned in the temples. So that's generally what we do in the temple is the Swami step. Pandita says, that's wonderful. You have a tattoo of Hare Krishna on you, Greece. And Bhakti says, now I'm too old to dance. I get chest pains. Greece says, what? Wait, I do? Greece, I have tattoos, but they don't say Hare Krishna. It's Bhakti. Bhakti says, it's me. Bhakti has the Hare Krishna tattoo. All right. Next section. Going to the temple of Vishnu or to places of pilgrimage. It is stated in the Puranas, quote, persons who attempt to visit the holy places of pilgrimage, like Vrindavan, Mathura, or Dwarka, are actually glorified. By such traveling activities, they can pass over the desert of material existence. End quote. In the Hari Bhakti Sudodaya, there is a statement about the benefit of visiting the temples of Lord Krishna. As we have explained previously, in Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dwarka, the system is that all the devotees take advantage of visiting various temples situated in those holy places. It is stated in the Hari Bhakti Sudodaya, quote, persons who are impelled by pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness and who therefore go to see the deities of Vishnu in the temple will surely get relief from entering again into the prison house of a mother's womb. End quote. The conditioned soul forgets the trouble of living within the mother's womb during birth, but it is a very painful and terrible experience. In order to make an escape from this material condition, one is advised to visit a temple of Vishnu with devotional consciousness. Then one can very easily get out of the material condition, or the miserable condition of material birth. Circumambulating the temple of Vishnu. It is said in the Hari Bhakti Sudodaya, quote, a person who is circumambulating the deity of Vishnu can counteract the circumambulation of repeated birth and death in this material world. End quote. The conditioned soul is circumambulating through repeated births and deaths on account of his material existence, and this can be counteracted simply by circumambulating the deity in the temple. The Chaturmasya ceremony is observed during the 4 months of the rainy season in India, beginning from Shravana, approximately July, August, September, and October. During these 4 months, saintly persons who are accustomed to travel from one place to another to propagate Krishna consciousness remain at one place, usually a holy place of pilgrimage. During these times, there are certain special rules and regulations which are strictly followed. It is stated in the Skanda Purana that during this period, if someone circumambulates the temple of Vishnu at least 4 times, it is understood that he has traveled all over the universe. By such circumambulation, one is understood to have seen all the holy places where the Ganges water is flowing, and by following the regulative principles of Chaturmasya, one can very quickly be raised to the platform of devotional service. Archana. Archana means to worship the deity in the temple. By executing this process, one confirms himself as not body but spirit soul. In the 10th canto, 81st chapter, 16th verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is told how Sudama, an intimate friend of Krishna, while going to the house of a Brahmana, murmured to himself, quote, simply by worshipping Krishna, one can easily achieve all the results of heavenly opulence. Heavenly opulence, liberation, supremacy over the planetary systems of the universe, all the opulence of the material world, and the mystic power of performing the yoga system. The events leading to Sudama's murmuring this statement are as follows. Sri Krishna had ordered his friend Sudama to go to a Brahmana's house and ask for some food. Brahmanas were performing a great sacrifice, and Sri Krishna told Sudama to plead with them that he and Balaram were feeling hungry and needing some food. When Sudama went there, the Brahmanas refused to offer anything, but the wives of the Brahmanas, upon hearing that Sri Krishna wanted some foodstuff, immediately took many palatable dishes and went to offer them to Sri Krishna. In the Vishnu Rahasya also it is stated, quote, any person within this world who is engaged in the worship of Vishnu can very easily achieve the ever blissful of God known as Vaikuntha. End quote. Rendering service to the Lord. It is stated in the Vishnu Rahasya, quote, any person who can arrange for service to the Lord in the same way that a king is given service by his attendants is surely elevated to the abode of Krishna after death. End quote. Actually, in India, the temples are just like royal palaces. They are not ordinary buildings because the worship of Krishna should be performed in just the way that a king is worshipped in his palace. So in Vrindavan, there are many hundreds of temples wherein the deity is worshipped exactly like a king. In the Naradiya Purana, it is stated, quote, if a person stays in the Lord's temple, even for a few moments, he can surely achieve the transcendental kingdom of God. End quote. The conclusion is that those who are rich men in society should construct beautiful temples and arrange for the worship of Vishnu, so that people may be attracted to visit such temples and thereby be offered the opportunity of dancing before the Lord, or chanting the holy name of the Lord, or else of hearing the holy name of the Lord. In this way, everyone will be given the chance to elevate himself to the kingdom of God. In other words, even a common man, simply by visiting such a temple, will be able to attain the highest benedictions, not to mention the devotees who are constantly engaged in the service of the Lord in full Krishna consciousness. In this connection, there is a statement in the fourth canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, wherein King Prithu says to his subjects, quote, my dear citizens, please note that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is actually the deliverer of all fallen conditioned souls. No demigod can perform this act of delivering the conditioned souls because the demigods themselves are conditioned. Conditioned soul cannot deliver another conditioned soul. Only Krishna, or his bona fide representative, can deliver him. The Ganges water, which is flowing down from the toe of Lord Vishnu, falls upon the earthly planet and other planets, and thereby delivers all the conditioned, sinful living entities. So what need is there to speak of the deliverance of persons who are always engaged in the service of the Lord? There is no doubt about their liberation, even if they have stocks of sinful activities from many, many births. End quote. In other words, a person who is engaged in the worship of the deities can minimize his stock of sinful reactions coming from many, many previous births. This process of worshiping the deity has already been described, and one should try to follow these rules and regulations seriously. In the Linga Purana, there is a statement about glorifying and singing about the Lord. It is said there, quote, a Brahmana who is constantly engaged in singing the glories of the Lord is surely elevated to the same planet as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For Krishna appreciates this singing even more than the prayers offered by Lord Shiva. End quote. When a person loudly chants the glories of the Lord's activities, qualities, form, etc., it is called Sankirtan. Sankirtan also refers to the congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. In the Vishnu Dharma, there is a statement glorifying this process of congregational chanting. Quote, my dear king, this word Krishna is so auspicious that anyone who chants this holy name immediately gets rid of the resultant actions of sinful activities from many, many births. End quote. That is a fact. There is the following statement in Chaitanya Charitamrita, quote, the person who chants the holy name of Krishna once can counteract the resultant actions of more sinful activities than he is able to perform. End quote. A sinful man can perform many, many sinful activities, but he is unable to perform so many that they cannot be wiped out by one single uttering of Krishna. In the 7th canto, 9th chapter, 17th verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Maharaj Prahlad offers the following prayers to the Lord. Quote, "My dear Lord Nrsimha, if I can be elevated to the position of your servant, then it will be possible for me to hear about your activities. You are the supreme friend, supreme worshipable deity. Your pastimes are transcendental, and simply by hearing of them, one can counteract all his sinful activities. Therefore, I shall not care for all those sinful activities, because simply by hearing about your pastimes, I shall get out of all the contamination of material attachment." End quote. There are many songs about the Lord's activities. For example, there is the Brahma Samhita, sung by Lord Brahma, Narada Pancharatra, sung by Narada Muni, and Srimad Bhagavatam, sung by Shukadeva Goswami. If these songs are heard by any person, he can easily get out of the clutches of material contamination. There should be no difficulty in hearing these songs of God. They are coming down from many, many millions of years ago, and people are still taking advantage of them. So why at this time should one not take full advantage and thus become liberated? There's some chatting going on. Bhakti says, Greece, this is what we do on Thursday, congregational chanting, Sankirtan. And Kandita is accepting friendship from our rabbit, Zaza. Isn't Zaza our rabbit? Our temple rabbit? Yes. Yes, Sankirtan is very strong. All right. Glorifying the Lord's transcendental activities. In the first canto, 5th chapter, 22nd verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Narada Muni tells his disciple Vyasadeva, quote, "My dear Vyasa, you should know that persons who are engaged in executing austerities and penances, studying the Vedas, performing big sacrifices, chanting the hymns of the Vedas, speculating on transcendental knowledge, and performing charitable functions, have for all their auspicious activities simply to gain a place in the association of devotees and to chant the glories of the Lord." End quote. It is indicated here that chanting and glorifying the Lord is the ultimate activity of the living entity. Japa. When a mantra or hymn is chanted softly and slowly, that is called japa. The same mantra, when chanted loudly, is called kirtana. For example, the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When uttered very softly, only for one's own hearing, is called japa. The same mantra, when chanted loudly for being heard by all others, is called kirtana. The Maha Mantra can be used for japa and kirtana also. When japa is practiced, it is for the personal benefit of the chanter. But when kirtana is performed, it is for the benefit of all others who may hear. In the Padma Purana, there is a statement, quote, "For any person who is chanting the holy name, either softly or loudly, the paths to liberation and even heavenly happiness are at once open." End quote. Perfect time, perfect place to stop. And so Sankirtan is congregational kirtan. So Greece says, yes, that makes sense. It's very strong when one is with others. Yes, it is. It is. You have all those people chanting. It's wonderful. All right. There you have it. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for letting me read out loud. We're going to start reading this again on Sunday at 10 a.m. Second Life time. So I hope that if people are listening here on Facebook and they would like to come into Second Life and visit with us and ask questions and all, that's another time. We've made this time a new time, especially for people in the EU and India for a different time zone. So we're hoping that that also becomes popular. Yes, and if you need help learning, Bhakti says we can help you. We can teach you how to do Second Life. So if you'd like to learn how to come into Second Life, this is an opportunity. We'll be here ready to help you with anything we can. All right, my friends, have a great week. We have more Nectar Devotion Sunday and Bhagavad Gita on Tuesday at 7. Have a wonderful time. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. And that too. Jai.